Hi, kids. Welcome back. Miss Nancy has an announcement today. We are still in the journey through Joseph's life, but I want to tell you that after we finish these series on Joseph's life, who is the greatest type of Christ in the Bible, that I'm going to change the name of this program to Once Upon a Truth Sunday School. God gave me that title so long ago. I know our lessons aren't on Sunday school, but I have to tell everybody I don't think I'm a preacher. I am just a teacher. But God's Word needs to get to children, so it'll be Once Upon a Truth Sunday School. Now, to go back to the story that we're in, Joseph had told the interpretation of the baker and the butler's dreams. And he said, when it's good with you, remember me. But they forgot. And that's where we're going to pick up in Genesis 41. And this is part 4. It came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed. So first Joseph dreamed, and then the butler and the baker dreamed, and now Pharaoh dreamed. And behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine, that's cows, and fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kine. So Pharaoh awoke, and he slept and dreamed the second time. And behold, 7 ears of corn came upon one stalk, good, ranking good. And behold, 7 thin ears blasted with the east wind sprung up after them. And the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called all the magicians of Egypt, and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh. Then spake the chief butler, 2 years had went by, unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Pharaoh was wroth with his servants, and put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed a dream in one night. I and he, we dreamed each man, according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man, a Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams. To each man according to his dream he did interpret. And it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored to mine office, and him he hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And he shaved himself, and changed his raiment, and came in unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee, that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. And this is one other thing that's the type of Christ. Joseph always brought the Lord into it. He never took no credit. And remember, his brothers wanted to kill him, an innocent man. That's another type of it. He was his father's favorite son. Well, Jesus is God's favorite son. He's the only son, only begotten son of God. So those things. And then when Joseph was in the pit, remember the blood was shed. Innocent blood was shed. That's just a little bitty thing that's a similar type, but I wanted to refresh your minds. But here we go. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, In my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river, and behold, there came up of the river 7 kine, fat-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them, poor and very ill-favored and lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt for badness. and the lean and the ill-favored kine did eat up the first 7 fat kine. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them, but they were still ill-favored as at the beginning. So I awoke, and I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up on one stalk, full and good, and behold, 7 ears withered thin and blasted with the east wind sprung up after them, and the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears. And I told this unto the magicians, but there was none that could declare it to me. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kine are 7 years, and 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kine that came up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty ears, blasted with the east wind, shall be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. He's saying he's giving you these dreams to tell you what's coming. Anyway, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine. I skipped a verse. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. Remember, kids, we've talked about a famine. There's no food growing, there's nothing to eat, and the people are starving. All right. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by the reason of the famine following, for it shall be very grievous. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Now, therefore, here's his advice to Pharaoh. Let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. He's got a plan. He's trying to share it with Pharaoh. And let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let him keep food in the cities. And that food shall be for store. He's telling why to do this. Shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, forasmuch as God hath showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand, and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the 2nd chariot which he had, and they cried before him, bow the knee, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name. Now, we're not going to call Joseph this every time we talk about him, but here's the name Pharaoh gave him, Zaphnath-Paneah. And he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, priest of On. And Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. And Joseph was 30 years old. Now, see, there's another comparison to Jesus. He was about 30 when he started his earthly ministry. So Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh, and went throughout all the land of Egypt. And in the 7 plenteous years the earth brought forth by handfuls. And he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which was in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities. The food of the field which was round about every city laid he up in the same. And Joseph gathered corn, I love this because I love corn, as the sand of the sea, very much, until he left numbering, for it was without number. There was so much he couldn't count it. And unto Joseph was born 2 sons before the years of the famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potipherah, priest of On, bare to him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for he said, God hath made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. He's been separated for now, I don't know how long. He's been, from the pit to the palace to the prison. Now he's at Pharaoh's. And the name of the second son was Ephraim, for God hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. And guys, I want to tell you this, we're in the land of our affliction right now, but everything that we can do for God, he's going to have a record book up in heaven keeping account of it. And the 7 years of plenteous that was in the land of Egypt were ended. And the 7 years of dearth began to come, according as Joseph had said. And the dearth was in all the lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried unto Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go unto Joseph, what he saith to you, do. Remember, there's another reflection of Jesus, because at the first miracle at the wedding in Cana, his mother Mary, no disrespect meant, she said, whatever he said to do, do it. I love that. And the famine was over all the face of the earth, and Joseph opened the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians, and the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. And all countries came into Egypt to Joseph to buy corn, because the famine was so sore in all the lands. So, where was Joseph at the beginning of this story? He was in prison. How long had he been there? Up to 2 years at least. Who dreamed a dream in this story? Pharaoh. And where was he in the dream? He stood by a river, didn't he? You kids tell me the story. You know what happened. What did he see in the first dream? 7 fat cows and 7 fat corns. And then he saw 7 skinny, ill-favored cows and 7 ears of corn that were blasted with the east wind, and they were dead. So he dreamed both of those things, and both of them was the same. And then when he awoke, he was troubled. And what did he do? He called for all the soothsayers and all the magicians and his men. And could they interpret the dreams? No. So who remembered finally about Joseph, the chief butler? So he tells Pharaoh his story, and you remember it. They both had a dream, and in 3 days they were both going to have something happen. He got restored to his position, but the other one hung. So he goes through all that and tells Pharaoh about that. And then Pharaoh says, go get him. So he gets out of prison. He gets shaved up and cleaned up and comes to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh tells him, I've heard of you. And what did he say he knew about Joseph? I've heard you can tell about dreams. Who did Joseph give the credit to? God himself. He said all dream interpretations is from the Lord. So after he tells him that, and Pharaoh tells Joseph his dreams, Joseph tells him what it means, and then what does he tell Pharaoh he ought to do? He said, you ought to pick out a man that's smart, and he said, that will plan and take care of the corn and store some of it in the cities the first 7 years, because those other 7 years are going to be bad. So then what did Pharaoh decide to do? He said, what do you think, servants? They was all happy. And he said, there's nobody like you. You interpret dreams. You're a godly man. You're blessed. So he appointed him, didn't he? And what's some things that he did for him? He took his ring off of his finger and put it on him, put a chain around his neck and gave him some garments. He said, you're going to ride in the second chariot, and everything that's to be done, you're going to do it. Only I will be greater in the land than you. I hope you enjoyed this part, guys, and I'll see you next time. But remember, pretty soon after this about Joseph, we're going to go to the title of Once Upon a Truth. Bye, kids.